Let me introduce you to Neil Douglas, a simple man who was shocked to discover his exact doppelganger on a Ryanair flight. Over here, we have John Jamieson and Neil Richardson, two men who look so familiar that their wives can't even tell them apart. And then there's the story of Jennifer, a 33-year-old woman from Texas who discovered her exact look-alike, a 23-year-old woman named Amber from North Carolina, only 5 minutes after joining a doppelganger website. These people found the one thing Street Fighter II fans were yearning for: the ability to beat up somebody that looks exactly like you. It's largely forgotten now, but when Street Fighter II was ported to the Super NES in 1992, Capcom forgot to include a proper character versus character mode. Sure, you could go with Ryu versus Ken and have a similar experience. There was no Guile versus Guile, or Blanca versus Blanca. Once you picked a character, your opponent would have to choose from one of the other 7 World Warriors. It was a less than ideal relic from the arcade game that was later fixed with the various upgrades and revisions. But Super NES gamers were impatient and had no interest in waiting for the 1993 release of Street Fighter II Turbo. The good news is that Capcom offered a workaround, though it did require players to punch in a silly code every time they wanted to pit Zangief against himself. If you press down, the R button, up L, Y, and B at the Capcom logo, both players will be able to select the same characters in Versus mode. This is a handy little code that probably should have been set as a default option to begin with. But outside of the game, that kind of code could be dangerous. For one thing, finding yourself is a losing battle. They already know your strengths and weaknesses, and it's not like you're going to be able to punch any harder than they would. And what if they decide not to fight, but instead run away and take your identity? They could go on a cross-country bank robbing adventure where you ultimately get blamed. Now you're sitting in prison, rotting away for something you didn't do, all while your identical twin sits on $1 million yacht drinking champagne with half-naked women. I hate it when that happens. Hey, thanks for watching our 7th episode of the 32 Dangerous Cheat Codes. We're already a week into this feature, which I guess means there's another 25 left to go. Tomorrow brings a brand new look at one of Super Mario's most iconic tricks, followed on Thursday by an extra tough UN squadron. We're also going to be walking through enemies in Castle of Illusion and breaking the Genesis. Those two things are not related. All this is coming later in the week, so do me a favor and click the subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.